Randall Sullivan and Indre Viscontis, the hosts of Miracle Detectives, are here. And Randall, you say that you actually experienced a miracle. What happened?
Well, I was officially a war correspondent in Bosnia, but I was there really, I think, to make my way to a village called Medjugore, which was a reported site of many miracles, and had become known as the Peace Center in Bosnia. It was the one safe place during the war. Series of events put me in the home of one of the religious visionaries who was at the center of the whole thing. I got into a contentious conversation with her because I didn't believe. I wasn't raised with religion.
No?
I was raised in a very irreligious family. So basically she threw me out. And because I'd been there for a number of days and I hadn't gone to the sacred mountain, I wouldn't say that I believed. And she told me, you know, go until you know what you believe. So I actually stormed out of her house in a near fury, blistering hot day. But I found myself walking toward this mountain, the Mountain of the Cross, which is sort of the central feature of Medjugorje. And I started climbing it. Nobody else was crazy enough to be out on a day that hot. So I was climbing by myself. Got not very far, maybe less than a quarter of the way up the mountain, when suddenly I noticed that it was getting dark and cold, and there was this massing of clouds right over me, right over the mountain. I mean, I could look 300 yards to the side, and it was still sunny. This thunder and lightning storm just erupted on top of me, and it was the most intense thing I think I've ever experienced. The lightning was striking so close that I felt I could feel the heat, and I had this overwhelming sense of, okay, I guess there really is a God, and he's about to give it to me. Because I mean, I just took it so personally. So I started bracing myself for destruction, thinking, should I turn back? And I decided, no, I'm just going to keep going and see what happens. I got just a little ways further. The mountain is in stages of the cross. I turned a corner, and I started hearing this singing in French. And there were a group of nuns kneeling beneath this cross singing. I didn't think there was anybody else on the mountain, again, who would be out there when it was 100 degrees. But so I felt so encouraged by their presence that I walked up and joined them, and for the very first time in my life, got down on my knees and prayed. And I just felt very comforted by them. So I continued up the mountain with them. When they'd stop at one of the stages of the cross, I'd stop and kneel and pray. And I felt myself shifting. Something was happening.
How did you even know how to kneel and pray if you came from such an irreligious family?
Well, I'd seen people in movies.
People in movies pray.
And I actually always had a little bit of curiosity, unlike anyone else in my family. I mean, I had gone to a few church services just out of...
So this experience transformed you?
Well, what happened next was, I mean, I got to the top of the mountain, surrounded by these nuns, and suddenly I just had this... I burst into a laugh. I realized, you know, yeah, there is a God, but he isn't angry with me. He's just trying to get my attention. And I went into, I don't know what sort of state it was, just a very calm state. And this, especially when this young woman showed up suddenly. I assumed she must have been with the nuns, but I hadn't seen her. And she laid a cloth over my shoulders and put a hat on my head. And I just felt this immense sense of peace and really lost kind of consciousness of my surroundings for just a little while. And then suddenly I noticed the sun was out, it was warming up, I was drying off, and there was no one there. So I ran up and down the mountain looking for these nuns, couldn't find them. There was a cafe at the bottom of the mountain. I asked... So
did you imagine the whole thing?
No, they were real to me. And they were real in my experience. I mean, certainly people have suggested you hallucinated. I hallucinated.
That you hallucinated.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.